Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your practice. Thanks for your support, right? Like and subscribe. It's a Bodhisattva act. It helps expand our Sangha. 3,000 realms in a single thought moment of life. I bet you thought we'd never get here. Yes, I forgot my glasses again today. I'm going to struggle through it. My eyesight. I have 5 bullet points here. The first one is a visualization of the engine of life within a context of samsara as a mental exercise or experience. Right? We've talked about this so many times now. This is why I keep coming back to the 3,000 realms being Nichiren keeps coming back to it, right? 3,000 realms, Ichinen Sanzen, yeah? 3,000 realms, a single thought. Once you start to take this apart, this is one of those rabbit hole things that you can go down. And, you can just chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo with your Nichiren inscribed digital copy of Nichiren inscribed mandala, not Bob's mandala or Barbara's mandala, but a Nichiren inscribed mandala. It doesn't have any other inventions and dates and egos on it. I'm very, very stern about that point because we're practicing Nichiren and using Nichiren's tools, not some sectarian baloney. Ugh, drives me crazy. It's your mandala. Nichiren gave this mandala to you, right? You don't have to qualify for it. There's no carrot. You don't have to win it. You don't have to demonstrate your worthiness. We're all inherently capable of enlightenment, Buddhahood, right? It's inherent in us. So why the carrot? That's insane. That's why I make this mandala freely. It's not free because there's printing costs and so forth, but I make it as easily available to you as possible. It's on. There's links in the description, right? cafepress.com/gohanzo. Get yourself a Nichiren inscribed mandala. You'll have to, they print it on paper, so if you don't get it framed or anything, you'll have to mount it to a board of some sort, and hang it. But it's an authentic digital copy of Nichiren inscribed mandala, one of the extant mandalas. There's 125 of them so far that I've been able to. There's a whole research society, a workshop on this. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on the internet. They have books out. I've shown you the books before. Here. I have one of them right here, right? The mandala in Nichiren Buddhism. The Nichiren Mandala Study Workshop. Right? You can research it for yourself. One of those final days, in that final year of Nichiren's life, years actually, that he finalized the design of the Treasure Tower chapter and the concepts for dissemination worldwide, Jampudvipa, right? For our practice of Shakyamuni's Lotus Sutra Buddhism. That mandala, that's the one you want to practice with, right? All right. I got off on a rant, sorry. So, second bullet point, a thought experiment on the nature of potential expressed in moment-to-moment formations and influences into form. A lot of words describing what? Karma. So the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment of life is the very definition of the instantiation, the creation of karma. You don't create karma. I don't create karma. We don't get rid of karma. We affect karma. We are influenced by karma. Positive, negative, that's a samsaric description. That's a samsaric involvement, right? But a lot of sects and groups, they like to work the guilt and fear angle because they think religion instead of Buddhism. Karma is the energy of life. It's always going on. We are experiencing karma. Do you experience it in a life-affirming way? In a way that makes you joy-filled? Or anxiety-ridden? Well, this is the whole formula of Buddhism. Choose joy, choose love, choose enlightenment. Stop miring yourself with your samsaric mind on anxieties, stress, possessions, power, fame, right? That's samsara. All the stuff is still here. We're not getting rid of it, right? When we talk about attachments, we're not talking about the things we're attached to. We're talking about our sensations, our desire to make permanent, to hang on to. Right? You may love your bedspread or your guitar or your lover. But gosh, if you take your hands off of it, does it disappear? No. What's going on in your mind is what we're talking about. Buddhism is about the mind. So don't get confused. Language can be very confusing, and people use language specifically to confuse us because it gives them dominion. It gives them power. It gives them influence. Why would you let someone else influence your karmic freight train? Why wouldn't you choose, and that's the bottom line, is if you let someone influence you, you are choosing to let them do that. You are influencing your karma. Don't blame someone else for it. It's all happening in your mind. And Buddhism is about controlling that. And how fast is that happening? So fast, 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Again, this is such a critical aspect of the enlightenment of Buddhism. Third, myo and ho, potential instantiation. Those two characters in this treasure tower, myo and ho, they are the very engine that the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment are exposing, demonstrating, conceptualizing for your sentient mind to realize the speed of cause-effect, karma. Why it's so important to stay focused. Because moment, birth. That's the cycle that's keeping us engaged in samsara. That's fine. All the stuff is cool, right? That's awesome because all of this is what provides for us to enlighten, to awaken that mind of, wow, I can engage with all of this. I can have this experience in its full potential without being buried by it, without being anxiety-ridden by it. It's here. I don't have to hang on to it or accrue more or run away. It's all happening right now. Birth, death. This moment into the next. Fourth, if I can focus. Sorry. A conceptualization of the speed of causality. I've already said that. In science, this is conceptualized as the speed of causality or light with the letter C, right? We all know E equals mc squared. C being, everybody says, the speed of light. But that's only because that's the fastest thing we humans can measure. It's actually the speed of causality. If you go beyond that speed, we humans can't witness that activity. Well, that edge, that precipice, that area where we can not perceive with our facilities, that's the 3,000 moments in a single thought moment. The 3,000 realms is concerned with the interstitial process of formations that lead to the instantiation of form with their interpenetrating influences of tendencies and conditions. Right? Talked about this. How many times have I talked about this? This potential goes through a process very, very fast, right? Remember the Max Planck moment? Look up the word moment in this book. It's unfathomably fast. It happens, it's just, to say it's instantaneous, it takes a lot more time to say that word than what a moment is. And with all of its potentials, some process of energies transform into form. It's what we Buddhists call formations. The same kind of formations that come together in this vast number of potentials to instantiate a tendency that leads to an association that leads to a thought. So much goes on in the sentient mind before an actual thought gels in our consciousness, yes? How do we deal with that? How do we affect it? How do we nurture it? How do we direct it? By chanting, by invoking our highest mental sentient function, Buddhahood. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho, from potential to instantiation, Renge, I get it, Kyo, Dharma. Let's experience that process. Be in it, engage fully. That's enlightenment. Meanwhile, everything else is doing the same thing, but we're busy with awakening rather than collecting and database building. That's the shift, right? From samsara, transmigrating the mind's attention through that gohonzon, call it formation if you want. It's that interstitial moment in the mind that goes from all the stuff to the process, Buddhahood. And finally, the fifth bullet point, the central tenet Nichiren inherited from Tendai and his teachings of the Lotus Sutra. This was a major critical point that Nichiren derived from the Lotus Sutra in order to provide our practice, our methodology, our understanding of our modern practice of Buddhism. Shakyamuni's Lotus Sutra. So, let's see what else I have to say about it that's in the book here. A profound and deeply intuitive concept of the mind in Buddhist thought of the ephemeral constructions of the mind and karma in process at each moment of existence or ever changing in our momentum. This conceptual framework speaks directly to the actual workings of karma and the formations of potential from energies, influences, and into form. Now, you remember when I talked about the Nidana earlier on in this book, right? You can see the seeds in the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment, right? The Nidana was a more, I hesitate to use the word superficial, but maybe, or not superficial, a more general Although at the time it was incredibly discriminating and dissecting of the process, yeah? How anything comes to be. The Nidana is, the 12-length causal chain is a description of formations. Yeah? And there's a lot of teaching built around the Nidana. It's a very early teaching. That speaks to my point that Shakyamuni was teaching the same thing for 50 years. He just was teaching to a different audience, to the capacity of that audience. That audience, thousands of years ago, wouldn't know quantum fluctuations from rice in a bowl. But you know quantum fluctuations, even if you haven't studied quantum or fluctuations, you know those two words. And you can well imagine, quite instantly, get a picture in your mind of quantum fluctuations. Man, that's intense. That's minute. That's so subtle. To say that that's constantly happening, science is still working on the fact that the whole universe isn't static. That even in its most quiet, dark nothingnesses, there is waves, energy, movement. Nothing is still. Not even nothing. Right? Gravitational fields and so forth. Science, every decade in my life, seems to have gotten much closer to what Shakyamuni was describing about enlightenment. Amazes me. It amazes me. I'll go on. Numbers are powerful illustrators of the manner in which energy accumulates kinetics and momentum in chain reactions to produce innumerable results, right? Look at an atomic bomb. It's nothing more than a minute atomic chain reaction. Yeah. Pretty huge, yeah? Well, that's the universe. That's you and I. That's a thought. That's the instantiation of Buddhahood. Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Boom. Yeah. In this case, the number's 3,000. It should not be taken too literally. There aren't exactly 3,000 potentials, right? But instead understood to be a huge multiplier, right? Go back to Max Planck and the 0.430059, whatever it was. The minuteness of this activity in a moment, multiply those moments together, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Oh, wow, the numbers get really, they're already unreasonable. But do you need to blow your mind any further? Yeah, stop thinking limits and start thinking potential. And get in it. Right? Going somewhere in a car doesn't do you any good to follow the tracks. Be in the car, make the tracks. Samsara Buddhahood. Yeah? So it's a series of multiplied states, all occurring in an incalculably small time frame. See moment again. The number 3,000 is derived from the multiplication of the realms of samsaric experience, right? The 10 worlds that interpenetrating together result in 100 worlds, right? We've talked about this in the 10 worlds already. But here it is again, and as a reminder, each of these realms or worlds is expressed in samsara by the 10 factors, right? Yose-in, Yose-en, Yose-kan, Yose-ho, right? As enumerated in the Hoben, or second chapter of the Lotus Sutra. See suchnesses, or suchness, if you need a reminder on that breakdown. And that in itself, those 10, is mind-blowing. So start multiplying the stuff. It gets pretty weighty, doesn't it? This succession brings the number to 1,000 characteristics of formations in each moment of life. All those influences affecting your karmic amalgam constantly, yes? And that's just from your karmic makeup, the formations of you. That doesn't include the additional influences you're having of consciousness, sentience, your environment, your interactions. Right? The number just keeps blowing up. How do you keep your mind around all of this influence? And we live in the age of influence, right? Maybe in 100 years they'll say, that was nothing. Look at what, but this modern period that we're going through, this evolution, supposed to last 10,000 years. Well, we've got a while. We've got a ways to go. So really important to get focused here. Yeah. That's what our mission is, Bodhisattvas of the earth. Yes. To keep this teaching from being completely lost, because there's a lot of delusion out there. People who are turning it into traditions and religions and just destroying the Lotus Sutra. We need to save its purity. It's clear teaching. It's not mystical. It's experiential, right? You prove it by doing it. This succession brings the number to 1,000 characteristics, and finally, all of this occurs throughout the three realms of existence, the physical universe, the engine of life that produces it, right? The three realms, and we've already talked about these, but the three realms of existence of, in other words, instantiations of whole, from myo whole, right? It all ties together. The skandhas, or the initial five consciousnesses, our sense, our ability to be sentient, which emerges from this amazing apparatus that isn't just the body, but the universe that's spawned this, right? How many times have we said, we are stardust, we are this and that? Without the universe, there would be no you and I, right? Or you and me. And without ourselves, our constructed selves, there would be no sentience. So the skandhas are the discussion of that sentience, our interface, if you will. Our samsaric sense organs feeding, manifesting, emerging a mental experience of those senses. That's the sentient mind, yes? And that's the one unique place where with that mind, we can choose to perceive all of that sense information with a greater clarity that goes well beyond our sense organs, our self, you and I, our environment, but the whole thing all at once, moment to moment to moment. Ooh, that's huge, right? So what is that? That is the realm of living beings. That's the second of the three realms. And third is the environment, the universe. So, sounds repetitive, but those are three aspects of being. That everything, every phenomena is in those three realms. That ends up being 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Right? It's not mystical stuff. It's not a faraway land. It's not Harry Potter, sorry. Right? It's actual experience. Together, these represent the engine of life. Now, because this always comes up, I included in this description of the 3,000 realms the term Ichinen Sanzen, because this is Nichiren's Japanese label for this concept of the 3,000 realms in a single thought. It's not a different thing. It's not that he had to label it differently. He talks about the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment all the time, right? But as a general conversant tool of teaching, propagation, in Japanese, he can say it as Ichinen Sanzen. So Nichiren used the Japanese term Ichinen Sanzen to represent this Tendai insight from the Lotus Sutra and his doctrine for our practice and study. See Ichinen Sanzen. I actually describe it independently in this book. The key point of this elaborate calculation of many interpenetrating concepts is that they all occur in a single thought moment of life. This is not a subtle reminder of how truly unaware we are of the currents that move our own lives through time-space. For a deeper dive into the idea of a moment, please see moment in the book. This concept is absolutely central to the doctrine of Nichiren's teachings and elucidations. From the fundamental concepts of energy through formations into form, the nidana, karma, cause-effect, the skandhas, or 5 aggregates, the 10 worlds, Ichinen Sanzen, 3,000 realms, even the invocation of our Buddha mind, are all manifestations of this central idea of our experience of life and our mind's role in our life. From moment into successive moment, we are actively engaged in the making of our experience of life. Now, maybe you listen to that last sentence here. No, duh. Yeah, it's been said many ways. You're writing your own book. You're writing your own story. But the tendency with our samsaric minds is to see that as something we're doing outside of ourselves, influenced outside of ourselves by mystical forces. The universe made me do that. The gods made me do that. The devil made me do that. My friend is not, she influenced me poorly. She made me do that. We're always trying to externalize, give up our own power in order to escape what? We must stop doing that. This is what politicians and sales pitches and religions and leaders, politicians, they're not really leaders, are they? But the influences around us take our power because we offer it so freely. Because it absolves us of responsibility. I know that sounds harsh, but ultimately, what else is it? What a glorious opportunity we have every time we chant Namu. I am here, I'm taking responsibility, I am doing this now, I'm instantiating Buddhahood. What is my Buddhahood? It's my potential manifesting, Myoho, with the insight of, yes, I'm invoking it, it is happening now, Renge. And what is it that's happening now? The engine of life, Kyo, the Dharma. I'm now experiencing, moment to moment, my really true, energetic freight train of life, along with everything else. Not tinged, not influenced by samsaric foibles, but with clarity. Namo Myo Renge Kyo, friends. Thank you for listening. If you have questions about this, this is such a central issue. We could talk about it ad nauseum. But it's really simple. If you break it down, it's really simple. It's a reminder that it requires a tremendous amount of focus for us to stay awake. Because samsara wants us to be in the dream, in the past, in the I own all of this, I am all of this, right? We create these identities based on stuff. We really and truly do. from hairstyles to clothing, to cars, to jobs, to one another, whatever. That's the samsaric realm. It's okay. As Nichiren says, enjoy what there is to enjoy and suffer what there is to suffer. But at the end of the day, get your mind back to life, the engine of life, the very aspect of your being. So the more often you go there, the more everything else just falls into place. The stress starts to wither. The anxiety ceases to have something to hold on to. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Savor your practice. Yeah. Thank you for supporting this effort, this resource. That's all this is about, is to increase confidence and resolve. Keep your practice strong. Be kind to yourself. Take care of your health. Remember to wear your glasses. And those of you who are able to buy books, ebooks, print books, mandalas, or just support like the patrons do on Patreon or PayPal, you guys, you're the reason I'm so inspired to do this every single day. You keep me going, and you keep this resource growing, and the comments too. You know, the comments aren't always positive, but if they're detracting and somehow in any way negative to our practice, I just take them off. We don't need that. We need encouragement. We need questions, bright questions, sometimes difficult questions, because it inspires us all to know we're working as a Sangha. You know? Got an email the other day or a comment, just said no. Well, that's just not helpful, is it? So bye-bye. We don't need that. So I'm not telling you to be positive. I'm telling you to be engaged. Be in your practice. If something doesn't seem like it's working, you have a right to figure out why. Because there's no reason this practice shouldn't be working. We all have Buddha in our abilities. So if something's confusing, we need to get it unconfused. Because that creates doubt, and we don't need that. We got enough work to do to invoke our Buddhahood every day, yes? That's all I want to support. For myself and for you. Okay? All right. I'm done with the blah, blah, blah. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.